Hey man, what's going on? Welcome. A tournament in 1 minute. um, um, what's the time control? Is it like a blitz tournament or like a longer? I mean, generally when I'm playing in tournaments, the biggest thing is like you get nervous, and so just try to focus on not worrying about getting nervous and like playing smart moves. And so 15-10. Okay, yeah, so you have plenty of time. Like, just relax. Don't rush in the beginning. And just focus on playing, like, good chess. Yeah, that's what I would say. What's up, Jake? We're going to get started in just a second. All right, man. Good luck. All right, we're going to get started, and I'll just wait like 1 more minute, and then we'll get started. All right, so what I'm going to be doing in this video, you probably saw it in the title, is working on an upcoming video for YouTube. And so it's going to be similar to these breaking past rating levels, like the common mistakes at certain rating levels. So like if you remember this video where I talked about 1600 rating mistakes and kind of broke down what the top mistakes are, that's what I'm going to be doing, except specifically looking at endgames. And so it's going to be a little bit harder to do because endgames, there's a couple things that I'm going to be looking for, but I'll talk more about that in a second. But basically that's what I'm doing. And so I'm just going to be live streaming while I do the research and look at the positions and kind of fill in all of this information so you can see the process for that. So if you have questions, ask, and I'll try to jump back and forth. But that's basically what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and go to a new sheet. And this is going to be 1200 endgame mistakes. So I'm starting at 1200 because that was the midpoint when I did the poll. Most people were in the range of 1000 to 1400. So we're going to start there, and we're just going to do game number, what was the mistake, and then I'm going to put the URL so I can easily go back if I need to get an example for it. We'll just change the color here, and let me increase the font. It's kind of small. Should be a little easier to see. What's up, Thor? How's it going? Alright, so we'll do game number 1, 2, and then we'll go for 100 games. Probably won't finish all of these in the stream, but we'll just do as many as I can. So there's 100 games. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Lichess and make sure you can see this, lichess.org. And if you click on tools, you can go to advanced search, and you can basically search the entire Lichess database for games, and it lets you kind of filter out what kind of games you're looking for. And so I am going to search for 1300 to 1400. And I know I said I was doing 1200, so Lichess ratings tend to be a little bit inflated compared to like chess.com. And so I'm adding like 100 to 200 points, which might not even be enough, but I'm going to say that it's close enough. And so that's why I'm adding, searching for 13 to 1400, even though really I'm looking for like 1200 rated games. So, yep, that's what that is. And then for variant, I'm going to do rapid. I don't want to do like bullet or blitz just because they're a little bit too fast and you get some crazy blunders in those games. So we'll go for rapid. And then since I'm looking specifically for endgames, I'm going to go for 35 moves and up. I'll just say 35 to 80. In theory, that should mean that the game didn't end earlier in the middle game, probably made it to an end game. And I don't think I really care about much else. I'll just select the date range. We'll just go for like Jan 1st of this year to like Jan 31st. Doesn't really matter. So I'm going to click search. And basically it gives me, let me put this so you can see it a little better. I don't need this right now. Okay. So it gives me all these games, and so I'm just going to open them up in a new tab. Just going down the list and opening up a whole bunch of games. Okay, I don't know how many that was, but we'll start there. All right, let me get the board so you guys can see it. I guess that's okay. Could be a little bigger. Move it over here. Your middle game video was very helpful. Cool, good, glad. All right, so let's just jump to the end of the game. And so as far as like the definition of endgame, I'm looking for if queens are traded off, or if maybe all the other pieces except the queens, those kind of things. And the other thing that I'm looking for is like, I want these to be relatively even endgames. So I don't want an endgame that's like somebody's up a queen. So like this one, probably not going to use because like black's already up a queen, it looks like. I'm going to go a little further. Actually, this is kind of interesting. So even though he's way ahead, it's interesting because there's this pawn and bishop that's kind of far advanced. So I will keep this one. And so black's way ahead. Okay, actually this is going to be a good one. So black's way ahead, but white is victorious. So let's see, what did black do wrong? And I'm assuming, just from looking at it, it has something to do with like this. But let's just see. Yeah, okay, so he just sacrificed his rook for the pawn. And let's go ahead and turn on Stockfish and see what the best move is. So king g7. Okay. So he's basically, black was afraid that white was going to play here, and then if he takes, he's going to take and get a queen, and he's going to have to lose his queen. So makes sense why he was afraid of that. He decided to sacrifice his rook instead of just moving his king. So if he just moves his king and white plays here, queen to b1 check is the best move, or rook takes. Oh, okay. So there's a little tactic. You can just take the pawn, and then after white recaptures, he can go here and get a fork, and he's going to be basically up a queen for a rook, and that should be a relatively easy win. So cool little trick there, but I guess he didn't see that and just thought he had to give up his rook for the pawn, which was really, really bad. So I am going to think of what to call that, and I'm going to say maybe incorrectly defending an advanced pass pawn. And so I'm going to say incorrect defense against pass pawn. And so I'll do that, and then I will also go ahead and copy this URL in case I want to go back and look at this in the video later to talk about it. And that should be good. Let's go ahead and go to the next game. Alright, so I'm going to again just jump way ahead till we get to the end game. That's not really the end game yet. Still a lot of pieces on the board. Okay, so there was a bunch of trading. Let's go back a few moves. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so right around here, let's go ahead and see what's going on. This is I would consider this the end game, and it looks like black's ahead because he's up the knight. Yep, Stockfish agrees. So why? The question is, why did black play this move? He just blundered this knight. Yeah, like all he has to do is just move the knight somewhere. Like just move it here. Oh, I see. I see. He was afraid of this and then losing his rook. So, okay. I see what's happening. So this was the move to save the knight from being captured. He was afraid that he was going to lose his rook back here, but he's actually not, because if he goes there and white does that, he can just move his king. And if white takes the rook, there's actually a back rank mate here. And so white can't do that. So black was totally fine, but he missed this little back rank mate tactic where he could have, you know, just been fine and saved his knight. So that's kind of like a tactics mistake. I'm trying to think if I want to make it more specific than that, like a back rank mate tactic. So what I'll do is I'll say just tactics mistake, and I'll just put in parentheses back rank mate just in case that turns out to be like a common theme, back rank mate. I don't think it will be, but we'll just put it just in case. And then again, I'm going to get this and put it over here. All right. Amazing, Apple. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Glad you're learning stuff. Hey, Static Info. What's going on? All right, so we already analyzed this one. And let's go ahead and see if there was another mistake maybe after that. That was definitely one of them, but let's see. So he, okay, actually lost that knight for 2 moves in a row. He could have saved it, but actually no, that's not true. Here he couldn't, because then this actually does lose the rook because there's no more checkmate. All right, so that's fine. So I guess you could say it falls into the same category of not defending properly against an advanced passed pawn, because black could have, like right here, it's equal if he just plays rook e8, just blockades the passed pawn with his rook. He's threatening to take it next move, and so that would have been fine for him, but instead he played over there and then eventually fell for this little tactic where now if he takes it, he gets skewered and loses his rook. So yeah, that's going to go under the same category. So we're going to say there was that one, and then there was also incorrect defense against the passed pawn. And so like learning how to defend properly when there's passed pawns looks like it's going to be a big thing already, but we'll see some more games. I already got the URL on that one. Okay. Let's look at the next one. So I'm going to jump again to the end game. Okay, so this should be a good one. White has the rook and black has the 2 pieces for it. So in theory, the 2 pieces should be better. 3, 4, 5, although white does have a rook and a pawn. But let's see, what does Stockfish say? I'm guessing it says it's better for black. Oh, okay, it's actually saying it's pretty equal. Interesting. Okay, so let's see what happens. So we're pretty equal. And I'm looking for like big mistakes that like cost the person the game, cause them to lose. I'm not really like looking for small inaccuracies that didn't really affect the outcome of the game. Okay, so that was a big mistake. Yeah, so here's a fork. That's why. Now, black didn't see it and did something else. Still turned out to be pretty good for black. Oh, wow. There's that's a cool little mating net. Look at that. Huh. So, yeah, so he won white's rook anyway. Okay, so the big mistake right here was g4. So creating this hole for the knight to go into and missing the fork. So that's really, that's really like a tactics mistake, I would say. He just didn't see that. So we'll say tactics mistake. And I'll just go ahead and put it in here, knight fork, just in case that becomes a theme. We'll save that one. And let's just see, I don't think there's anything else we need to look at in this game. Let's just go a few more moves. Oh wow, so then he just blundered the piece back. And now white is winning again. So we will keep looking at this because there was more mistakes. So there was just a blunder. Let me just add that. Just a random blunder. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so right here, white is way ahead, and he messes it up with this move. So I'm watching this area right here. I'm going to highlight it. This is what I'm looking at. It's 3.7, which means white should be up a piece, or a little over a piece, right? Pieces are worth 3 points. Knights and bishops are worth 3 points. So white should be up over a piece, and then as soon as he plays this move, see how it goes to equal? So whatever advantage he had just went away. So the question is, what was the move that king to f2? So it looks like this knight is trapped. Looks like that's what the issue is. Black's knight can't go anywhere or it's going to get captured, right? This is covered by this knight. And so if white plays king f2, he's trapping the knight, I guess, although it looks like black's going to take this. So whenever I'm analyzing with the engine and I don't understand something, I just play out the moves and see what it says. So I'm going to move king f2, and then it looks to me like black can just take this and be fine. So what does it say? And now knight to d3 check. King has to move somewhere. g5. Okay, so if he moves here, then he's going to lose this and this. He's going to lose 2 pawns there. So he runs over here. And then king to g3. So So the same idea, the knight is still trapped, right? Can't go there, can't go here, can't go here. But the question is, how are you going to capture it? Because it's defended by the king. So then it's saying black plays b6, and what does white play that's so winning? Just a4. So basically, this is what it looks like. It looks like black's knight's trapped, can't move, and his king is kind of also trapped now, because if the king moves, then the knight's going to be captured and white will be up a piece. So because of that, both of black's pieces are tied up over here, and he can't do anything. And so basically white can just take his time, push these pawns, move his knight around, and start eating these guys up, and then go get a queen. Because if you notice, after the move a4, it has the best move for black being, or at least it did for a little while, knight f5 check, which is losing a piece. But the engine is like, well, if we leave our pieces here, we're going to lose anyway, so at least we can try to sacrifice the piece and maybe do something with our king. So really interesting. Going back, that all started over here because this knight was trapped. And so recognizing that there was a trapped piece was the big issue here. So I will call this we'll say, I guess we'll say trapped piece. Missed. Actually, this goes on the same game here. This game had a lot of mistakes. We'll say trapped piece. How to improve at bullet chess? Well, you improve at regular chess first, and then specifically at bullet, learning some good openings that you're very comfortable with will help a lot, because you'll be able to save a bunch of time in the opening, and just playing them over and over again is one thing. And then just really like not making blunders is the biggest thing in bullet chess, because like even at higher rated level players, they just make lots of blunders because it's just so fast. So if you can learn to not do that and pay attention when other people make blunders, that's probably the best thing for bullet chess. All right, so I think we've looked at this game enough. Let's go ahead and go to the next game. Okay, so endgame. So it's pretty equal here. Looks like black has a decent advantage. Yep, so a little advantage for black. And white won the game. So black did something wrong. Let's see if we can figure out what he did wrong. Okay, so that was one thing. Not taking this free pawn was a big deal. And he doesn't have to worry about back rank checkmate, because he can just block it. So there's a free pawn and he didn't take it. And minus 2.5 turns into minus 0.5. So that's a big enough mistake that it's going to go on the list here. We're going to say not capturing free pawn. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Ooh, okay, so that's just a blunder, like losing a rook for a bishop. Yeah, that's just a blunder. Let's see what else we have. At this point, it's probably just going to be too much material for black to come back from. Yep, another blunder. Blunder his rook. Alright, so blunder's fine on that one. That's it. Just the blunder and then not capturing a free pawn. Okay. We'll save that and we'll move on to next game. Will tactical mastery help me improve a lot? Yeah, I mean, chess is basically just a bunch of many tactics, and the more of them that you see correctly, the better you are, and the more that you miss, that's probably going to cost you, games over time. So yeah, tactics are like the #1 important thing to work at. It's also probably the hardest part of chess, right? So it's not like you can just easily do it. All right, so this going into the end game, it looks like, let's see, I think it's already way ahead for black. Yeah, it is. So we're not going to use this game. I'm going to throw this one out. I'm going to go for another one that's more equal at the end game. Let's go a few more moves. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. White has the rook and 2 bishops. Black has 2 rooks. I would expect this to be relatively equal. Yeah, so minus 1.5 for black. Okay, so a little advantage for black. Which is, I guess, 3, 6, 3, 4, 5. Interesting that it's an advantage for black, because 2 bishops usually... Okay, so that was a huge mistake. See, it's minus 1.8, and then it jumps to 5.1. So this was a big deal, because black stepped into this discovered check. Okay, and so c takes d6, rook d3 check, king d7, bishop d1. Wow, okay, so that's kind of complicated. But basically, stepping into the discovered check was a bad idea. So I don't want to get too bogged down in that. I'll just say missing discovered check, which is really like a tactics mistake. So we'll say tactics mistake. And then let's see if we can go on and see if there was something else. Okay, so white was in a great position here, and then he just blundered the bishop. So again, blunder. From where could I practice tactics? Yeah, you can practice tactics on like chess.com. They have puzzles. Even like on Lichess here, I don't know if you can see it. There's a puzzles tab, so you can go there and you can use that. You can buy books. There's like certain books that have just like a bunch of puzzles in them. Even like just online now, like lots of, like on Facebook, chess pages post puzzles. I mean, there's so many ways. Even just going through games, and like as soon as you see the evaluation change, go back and try to figure out, why did it change so much? What was the idea behind the move? Right? So like here, you could kind of say this is a tactics puzzle. Like white has a really good sequence of moves. Why does he have that sequence of moves that's so good? Now this is more advanced. I'm not going to go into this one. Well, I guess we can look at it. Let's see. What does it say? So it's capturing here, capturing, playing rook to d3 check, and then regardless of where, yeah, see, this one's really complicated because wherever he goes, there's like a different move that's good for white. But yeah, so this isn't a good example. But sometimes when I'm analyzing games, like you can learn stuff just by looking at what the engine says. I like to do that a lot. Yeah, chess tempo. Yep, there's lots of places. Yep. How many puzzles a day? I mean, it's up to you. Like, if you have time and you want to work on it, I would do a balance. So like, you study some puzzles and then maybe you play a couple games, and then you study some puzzles and you play a couple. Like, you don't want to just do only one thing. You want to play some. But most people have the balance wrong. Most people play way too much and don't do enough tactics puzzles. And so I would say, if you're gonna make a mistake of doing more tactics puzzles than, playing less. That's probably going to benefit you the most. Okay, so this one, yeah, we said it was a blunder, right? Yeah, okay, blunder. You guys can see like how long it takes me to do 100 games, right? Like this is going to take a while, but I think these are some of the coolest videos that I make, because there's like just data that you can look at and see like, oh, that's what people are messing up doing at that rating level. So So let's get to the end game on this one. And black's already way ahead, so I'm gonna skip that game. What's up, Jen? How's it going? All right, let's go to this one. Okay, and again, white is up 2 pieces already, so that's not an even endgame. We're going to throw that one out. So, okay, right around here is an endgame. This one is really interesting because look at this position, guys. Black is way ahead, and yet white was victorious. So, how did that happen? Oh, there you go, back rank mate. I guess it is more common than we thought. Wow, that's how you throw one game right there. Okay. Let's go. I'm gonna call that a blunder. That seems like worse than just a mistake. That's like just an obvious thing. And then we'll say back rank mate. Ouch. I need help so I can beat Uncle Thurman. Yeah, Uncle. Well, just watch all the videos on the channel and keep practicing, and I think you'll get there. Should a beginner play rapid, bullet, or blitz? Definitely rapid. You want to play as long as you can if you're trying to learn. Because most beginners playing fast, they just kind of panic and don't like think through things. And being good at chess, you have to like actually think through lots of different lines. So you got to give yourself time to do that. So I would say definitely rapid or longer if you can. All right, let's go to the end game. Actually, black's way ahead in this one, so we're going to throw this game out. Let's go. Okay, yeah, this is an end game, I guess. Let's see, what does Stockfish say? Oh yeah, black's way ahead. I didn't see that rook over there in the corner. Yeah, okay, we're not going to look at this one. Let's go to the next game. Okay, here's an end game, but again, black's up a rook already, so that's not even. Yeah, Singham, you can. I mean, you can play some bullet every now and then. It's not going to ruin, like it's not going to ruin, you know, chess for you. I know some people will say that like if you're serious about chess, you should never play bullet or blitz. I didn't do that growing up. I played bullet and blitz. Just don't make it the only thing that you play. Like make sure you're making time for longer games. Solve more puzzles or solve less puzzles but take more time? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if you're able to like understand the ideas behind the puzzles quickly, then I would say go for more because you want to get those ideas in your head. But if you're going so fast that you're missing the concept that you're supposed to be learning, then you need to take more time. So it kind of depends on the person. I think some people can go pretty quickly and they like, oh yeah, I see the idea. Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh yeah, I see the idea. Okay. But if you're like, I don't even know why that's the correct move, then you need to take more time. So, okay, so here's an interesting game. We should be able to learn something here. So white is way ahead. He's up 5, which is essentially like being up a rook. And you can kind of see why. He's got the extra bishop. He's also about to like take some pawns probably. So why did he lose? What happened here? Now he's up 9 points. 10 points according to the engine. He's got the extra bishop. So all he has to do, if I'm playing this for white, I'm going here, I'm taking this pawn. I'm pushing this pawn. I'm going to take these pawns with my bishop. Should be an easy game. So what did white do wrong? He took the pawn. He started to bring his king over. Okay. That's fine. He should be pushing this pawn. That's one thing that he's not doing. Okay, he blockades it with his king. Fine. He's going to probably sacrifice the bishop. Yeah, so this is totally fine. He can sacrifice the bishop, push this and get a queen. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Well, it goes back to the same thing that we saw before, right? Not stopping past pawns. So all he had to do is give up his bishop here. And then this guy is going to become a queen, and black can't do anything. He can never make this king move. So, big mistake there. Okay. Incorrect defense against the passed pawn. Yep, that was it. And I'm going to add to that as a separate thing, not pushing passed pawn. Like, if you have a passed pawn, you need to push it because it draws the king towards the pawn, and then it frees up all your other pieces to go do whatever you want. A lot of times passed pawns like this are just a good decoy, and you can go take all the other pieces and win the game. So white waited too long, and then he didn't sacrifice his bishop at the right time. Okay. Puzzles in book format and handwrite and grade your solutions. Helps with visualization and calculation. Yeah, that's good too. I've heard people who write down the solutions. I've never done that personally, but yeah, that's probably good advice. All right, did I get the URL on this one? No. Let's copy that. Put it in here. Let's go to the next game. Okay. I'm trying to understand, like, where did the endgame start in this game? This is kind of a weird position. This is, I feel like this is still sort of the middle game. Blunder to the queen. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is really a good one. Let's go to the next game. Okay, black's way ahead. We're not going to look at that one. Let's go to the end of the game. Black's already up a rook, so no wonder he won that one. Let's go to find another more interesting one. Let's go. Okay, this one. I mean, black's already way ahead, actually. Should make sense that he won. Let's just see if there's any big mistakes. Okay, not really. So that's fine. We'll just skip that one as well. Any puzzle book recommendations? Yeah, there's one called 1001 Brilliant Ways to Checkmate. If you look at like any of my videos on the channel, I have in the description below, I link some of my favorite books, and I have that one on there, and then there's another one. I can't remember the title of the other one right now, but both of those tactics ones that I link on there are really good. That's one of those is the one that I grew up with, and that's the only tactics book that I ever had, and it was fine for me. So I would say one of those. But there are others too, so if you find another one, it's totally fine too. Okay, this one, black's already up a rook. We'll throw that out. Let's see. This is actually, interesting. So this position, the engine says black's ahead, which I would have thought the opposite because white has 2 rooks. But 3, 6 pawns, 3, 4, 5. Interesting. So why is that the case? Bishop takes e5, and black should be winning. So what I'm trying to understand now is why is black winning here? So speaking of tactics, here's a good example. And we even know the solution. The solution is bishop takes e5. Question is, why is that a winning move for black? So if anyone wants to take a minute and see if you could figure that out. Bishop takes e5 is winning for black. Why is that the case? And actually, I'm looking at it further. This is not a good example because this is not the kind of tactic that you would find in a tactics puzzle. So I take that back. I'm just going to show you the answer. So it's good because you take it. He's got to move his rook somewhere. So rook to g8. You play f6. And then the idea is this bishop and pawn are going to be able to just defend each other. And this rook is about to capture this pawn. White can't stop that because he can't go there. And once that pawn's gone, this pawn's going to get pushed forward, and white's going to have, he's not going to be able to stop this from either becoming a queen or probably forcing him to sacrifice his rook. So that's why it looks like it's so good for black. Takes here. Rook d2 is the best move. Rook check. King here, even takes this pawn. Yeah, so even though rooks are usually better than a bishop, if you can get your bishop defended by a pawn like this in the center of the board, this bishop is like awesome. It's going to, defend all these pawns, help push this forward, and white's just down too many pawns at this point. Even though he has 2 rooks, it's not going to be enough to stop all the pawns. So that's what should have happened in the game, and black would have won, but that didn't happen. So let's see how did white win this game? Okay, so black did take on e5. He took this pawn over here. Oh, that was the big mistake. Yep. Okay, so he blundered the piece here. It's attacked by the rook, and now white can play here and just take it. So if he would have played a move like f6, just defending the bishop. So the takeaway here is if you can defend one of your minor pieces, especially the bishop with a pawn like this, these rooks can never take it unless they want to just sacrifice, right? Unless he wants to sacrifice his rook. It's just going to sit there all game and you can't do anything about it. So this is really good to remember. This happens a lot when you have minor pieces against like rooks or even queens. Just defend him with a pawn and it's a really solid setup. So that's what black missed, and he fell for this little tactic, and after he loses the oh, I see what happened. Black was running out of time. He's got 30 seconds at this point. 24 seconds, yeah, and he missed it. Okay. So we're going to say blunder, and I'll actually say time trouble on this one. So blunder, I'm just going to say lost a piece, and then time trouble is another reason. Yeah, that's right, G3. The pressure on G3 and the pass pawn, yep. Let's save this one. Okay. Let's go to the end of the game here. Doesn't look like this one really got into an endgame. No, I don't really consider that an endgame because there's still quite a few pieces. Alright, so let's move on. So I'm going to go back here and do it again. Open up some more. Okay, this one looks interesting. So black's way ahead, and he didn't win the game. Ooh, wow. So, does anyone know why black didn't win this position after this move? I guess you can see it if you look at the bottom of the game. Yeah, it's a stalemate. So the rook's covering these squares, bishops are covering these diagonals, this, and white has no moves. Even though he has pawns, they're both blocked. So definitely got to watch out for that. It's much more common with like queens and stuff on the board, but even like this. So we will say stalemate in a one position. If I can actually type that word. Stalemate, there we go. And I'll save this one. Alright, let's go to the next one. Let's jump to the end. Okay, this one black's just up a piece, and he does win by pushing the pawn. Yeah, so that one's not really good. Throw that one out. All right. So white is winning, although it's kind of weird because black has those two pawns. Let's see what happened here. Okay, white is way ahead. Ooh. White didn't win this game, which tells me he probably doesn't know how to checkmate with a king and a rook. Yeah, see, he's kind of like making a bunch of random moves and isn't making progress. And then he gave up right here. Okay, so white didn't know how to checkmate with a king and a rook. All right, that is definitely a skill that you want to have. Goals 1,000 by the end of the year. What are you at right now, Spencer? I'm going to say didn't know king and a rook checkmate. Hey Alok, Raj, what's up? Let's save this. Put it over here. Okay. Does everybody watching know how to checkmate with the king and a rook against a king? Or does anyone not know? Like, do you want me to show you that, or is that something that everybody already knows? As a student, how can we improve chess? I guess watch all my videos, Alok. See message above. Goal is 1,000 by the end of the year. Yeah, maybe I missed it. I didn't catch what your current rating was. But that sounds like a good goal. I mean, I don't know if you're like 500, if you're like 900. I think there's a big delay in the chat for me, so I'll have to tweak the settings of the stream But I don't know if I can do it while the stream is live. Let me see if it lets me. I'm just checking if I can change the stream delay in the middle of the stream or not. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that. Stream latency. Oh yeah, normal latency, which results in a 15 to 60 second delay. That's why there's such a big delay. Okay. I'll have to fix that for next time. $830, Spencer. Okay, there you go. Yeah, you can get 1,000 by the end of the month. Wait, I guess, is that what you said? The end of the month? Oh, end of the year. End of the year. I was like, end of the month. That might be tough. Running out of time there. Amazing Apple, you know it. Okay, I think everybody knows it. Yeah, so basically you just make a box with the rook and you keep making the box smaller and smaller. So like if I was playing this game, I would go here. It's going to force him back somewhere. And you just use your king to help out the rook. And you just keep making this smaller and smaller, right? And so I'd go here. I would go here. I would move my king over. You get the idea. And once you get to the end, I'll just go ahead and move him to the side so we can get there quickly. You don't get a stalemate, so you leave them 2 spaces to move back and forth to. And then all you have to do is checkmate, if anybody didn't know that. There you go. Hey, Max. Hey, JP. Yeah, I apologize for the lag. I think I need to change it before I start the stream, apparently. So I don't want to end it right now, but I'll do that next time. I'll make sure that it doesn't have so much lag. All right. My Lichess ID is over here in the corner. It's Chess Vibes YouTube or Chess Vibes YT, but I don't really play on Lichess. So yeah, if you want to play me, chess.com is where I usually play. For anybody who joined late, I am working on an upcoming video where I'm going to be going over the most common endgame mistakes. Right now I'm looking at 1,200 rated games, so 1,200 rated player games, and roughly. And these are the mistakes that we have found so far. And so that's what I'm doing. And we'll see after I get to 100 games what are the most common mistakes. So let's go ahead and close this and go to the next game. And I guess, by the way, I could ask you guys, are you guys enjoying this, learning something from this, or would you rather I just like play games? Because we don't have to keep doing this. We've already done this for a little while. Just let me know what you guys want, and we can either keep going or we can do something else, like just play. I can just play, try to get my rating back up. Because I've been on a big losing streak. Okay, black's way ahead. We're going to throw that game out. Oh, this one's against an anonymous player, actually. I want to get rid of that one, too. Okay, let's check this one. What's up, Max? Okay, and black's way ahead. We're going to throw this one out. White's up a queen. We're going to throw this one out. Okay, so this looks pretty interesting. Pretty even. Black's a little bit ahead. 3, 6, 7, 3, 6, because he's a pawn, I guess. That was a blunder. Okay, so white was thinking that he had 2 rooks lined up and that he was just going to win a rook here, but he probably forgot about the bishop. So that's going to go under tactics mistake. And let's see if there's any other big things that happen. Now it looks like black's playing it pretty well. So, and you see again this idea of like pawn defending the bishop. Like white can't do anything. Those pieces can just sit there all game now, and white can't do anything. So he's making use of that fact while he like brings his king over. Yeah, so that was well played by black. So there was just that one tactics mistake in that game. All right, let's put that there. How and when can we play with you, Max? Yeah, so I don't have a lot of time right now. Like usually when I do have time, I'm trying to create videos because I work full time at the moment. But I mean, you can just challenge me on chess.com, and like if I'm not doing something, I'll play you. But it's pretty rare. I am gonna do the simul coming up. It's gonna be on a Saturday, probably not next Saturday, maybe the following Saturday. So I'll announce that, and I'll be playing all my subscribers. So make sure you join on that if you can. But yeah, I mean, otherwise just try to catch me, I guess. Yanni, you played over the board for the first time in New Orleans? You lost 3 times? Nice. Yeah, I played in New York a couple years back. Went to the park where they play. A couple of them were afraid to play me when they found out that I was a master. They were like, didn't want to play me. It was kind of funny. But some of them did. And they just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to take their money. Because like a lot of them play for money there. And but I was like, I'm not here to like take your money. I just want to, play. But yeah, I bet it was. If you've only played online, that's probably like a big change. Alright, did I already do this one? 114, yep. Let's go to the next game. Alright, this is pretty interesting. Should be pretty equal. Black's a little ahead. So 3, 4, 5. He's got an extra pawn and the bishop. Although I like rook, white's active rook here. Let's see how this game went. Okay, so at this point it's basically even. And that was a big mistake. Why was that such a big mistake? So it looks kind of like it has to do with the fact that this knight is sort of trapped a little bit. Like it can still go here, but then black can go here and pin it. And it looks like it's not awesome for white. And so this is kind of a common theme that we've seen in several games, right? Like putting your knight on the edge of the board. Usually you want to avoid that. Knights on the rim are grim. That's the rule, right? So you can really see like if they get trapped over there, basically just becomes a useless piece. And so that's one thing about what white did here. So I'm actually gonna add that because that's, I think, something that would be good for people to know. Let's say knight on rim. Oh, okay, yeah, and then white just blundered the rook. So we'll say knight on the rim and a blunder. Yeah, so like if he didn't do that, what would white play? Knight to b5, and then black can just trade, and these two pawns are going to be too strong. Bishop is strong, especially in endgames when there's pawns on both sides of the board. Bishops are really good because this bishop can help over here, control these squares. It also can like attack and do things over here, and so definitely in cases like this, the bishop's going to outperform the knight. And then you got two connected passed pawns as well, so that's why it's so much better for black. Yanni killed you with his knights. Yep, knights are tricky. Knights are tricky. For sure. Alright, this looks pretty even. Black has an extra pawn, but white has... I would say white has more active pieces. Let's see, what does Stockfish say? Equal? Yep, okay. So, what did... Ooh, wow. So here's a good one. What does black play in this position? What's the best move for black? See if you guys can find it. Speaking of all those tactics puzzles, here you go. Mate in 1 for black. I guess I should really turn off the engine before I ask a question like that. I'm counting on you guys being honest and not cheating. We have enough cheaters. We have enough cheaters in chess right now. We don't need any more. Yeah, Spencer, that's it. Rook F1 is the move. Really weird looking checkmate, but the pawn covers here, this covers here, the knight covers here, and the rook checkmate. So that was a blunder. So we'll say blunder because both players missed it. Black didn't see it either. He played rook here. And if you're wondering why it's a blunder, it's because there was a mate in 1 that he didn't play. So the king takes that. H5. What is the move here? Oh, okay. Wait a second. Hold on. It's saying knight e3 check is equal position. So I'm trying to understand why that's the case. Let's see. So knight e3. What about king here? What's going to happen? Oh, the rook takes e6. Okay, so if white goes there, then black can sacrifice for this knight and then take the rook over here, and then he's up a piece, and black's going to win. So that's cool. Because of that, the best move for white is to go to f4. Black can take here, white takes here, and you end up getting an equal position. So some tricky little tactics here. This is a very interesting position. So this is going to go under tactics mistakes, and we're going to call this, what is that called? I think it's called removing the guard. So like after this, knight here, king here, black would have had to see this little idea where you basically you're removing the knight so that you can take the rook. So removing the guard is the idea. Vorador, what's up, man? Love your content, one of my favorite chess channels. Thanks, appreciate that. Yeah, no problem. Hey Kent, how's it going? Alright, so that was a pretty interesting game, actually. And I guess we can keep going and see what happened further. But at this point, white just has a bunch of extra pawns, and he pushes the pawn and wins. Yep, okay. Did I save this one? Make sure I saved this one. That was a good one. Alright, let's go to the next game. Alright, so this is good. It's equal position right here. Both players have 5 pawns and 2 rooks. And let's look for any big mistakes. So they trade some pawns. Okay. So one thing, and you'll notice here like how it changes. White being able to get his king here seems to be something that the engine really likes. So the question is, why is that? Okay, well one thing is now this pawn is set up and the king can help. That's one thing, and black's king is doing nothing. Now it's still not easy because there's like 2 rooks that white has to watch out for. But let's see what happened. So he starts to push the pawn. Black does put him in check. Okay, so this move, ooh, that was bad. So yeah, okay. This is going to be incorrectly defending against the passed pawn. Let's write that down first, and then I'll explain why. What did I say before? Incorrect defense against passed pawn. Alright, so basically, white is only 2 moves from becoming a queen, right? This pawn moves twice, it's a queen, and then black has to sacrifice his rook, and he's going to lose. So black cannot let that happen. And so he plays a move here which does nothing to stop this pawn. In fact, it's really bad because he also removed a defender from the queening square. So it's like double bad, basically. So like, let's see, what I'm thinking a move that I would play before I look at what the engine says. One, maybe I would try to just continue to put him in check. Could be one idea. Or it's not great, but maybe I'm coming back here to blockade the pawn that way. So let's see if either of those moves, yeah, so rook to b7 check is the top engine move, okay, and the idea is like if he comes and chases my rook, like let's say here, well then I can go there and blockade this guy. So at least I'm stopping him from pushing it. And if he tries to he can't go back there because the rook, so if he just goes here, I could put him in check again, or again just go there. So basically getting the rook in front of the passed pawn was the idea that black needed to see, and he didn't see that. So yeah, incorrect defense against the passed pawn, that's fine. And then let's see if there's any more of the game here. I don't think it really, yeah, at this point it just has to give up his rook and it's over. What happened to the other rook? Oh, he just, yeah, whatever, blundered his rooks. All right, so that was the idea. All right, let's close that, go on to the next game. All right, next one. Okay, this is not a good one. White's already ahead a lot, so I'm going to skip that game. Let's see, where does the end game start? Right here. Okay, this is going to be a good one. So black is way ahead. He's up a rook. And way ahead. Didn't win the game. So here's an example where I want to talk about this for a second. This moment right here. If I'm playing this game, and you'll notice that black has only 1 minute and 14 seconds left, so he's kind of getting lower on time. If I'm playing this game, I'm going to take this bishop for my rook and sacrifice it. Now, yes, I'm giving up a rook for a bishop, which is not normally a good trade, but I'm going to do it for 2 reasons. Number one, it's really the last major piece that white has, and then after he takes me, I'm going to go here. He's going to have no pieces left. So it makes the game super simple, right? And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns and a bishop. There's no way that he's going to like somehow magically take all my pawns with his king. So the fact that I simplify the position and then make it really easy, all I have to do is start pushing these pawns, and one of them gets a queen. I don't even have to think anymore. It's just an easy game. By leaving the bishop on the board, well, now I have to like think about, okay, he's attacking it with his bishop, he's attacking my rook again, I have to like move it, his bishop's like annoying and controlling squares that I would like to push my pawns to. It's like sometimes when you're so far ahead, just sacrifice the piece, simplify the game, and win. And I think if black would have done that, what happened in the game wouldn't have happened. But let's see. So he's doing all this stuff, and again, like look at this. Now he's actually having to think about what's happening here. Like, can white take this pawn? And then can white, get a queen? And like, where do I have to move my king to? If he would have sacrificed that rook earlier, would have never even had to calculate any of this stuff. And so, it's still like not really good. He should still easily win this. But I'm just saying, like, that's one thing I like to do. Just simplify the position. And then, how did he? Yeah. So it's stalemate after this move because everything is covered and white is not in check. And so he was getting a little bit low on time. So that's probably what happened. What I like to do in these positions is there's 2 ways you can do it. Number one, you can always put the king in check. So like every move you make, just make sure that it's a check. The other thing that I like to do is make sure you look at the board before you play your move. So like, let's say I'm planning on moving here with my bishop, right? Look at the board and see where is your opponent's king going to move to, and make sure you have a spot, right? Like, let's say I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, okay, can he move there? No. Can he move here? No. Can he move here? No. Can he take this pawn? No. Can he move here? No. He has no moves. Okay, I better not do that because it's a stalemate. And I don't want to throw this game that I worked hard to, get the better position, and I want to throw it away and give him a draw. So if you do that on every move, that's the easy way. So like, for example, queen here would have been a good move. It's check. I don't have to think about stalemate because I know it's check. There's no way it's stalemate. So if I move here, let's say he moves here, I'm going to get a queen. And again, it's check on his king. I don't have to think about stalemate. I know for sure it's not going to be stalemate because it's check. He's going to move here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put him in check. And this actually is checkmate. But even if I didn't see that, I know it's not stalemate because it's check. So I'm going to go here, and that's game over, right? So those are the 2 things. Either always put him in check, or make sure you have a square that he can move to if you're not going to put him in check, so that you don't get these stalemates, because this is super common, especially at the lower levels. Somebody's like way ahead, they have like 2 queens, and they don't win the game. So anyway, I will stop talking about that now. Okay, that's this one, and I'm gonna say stalemate. in one position. I'm going to save the spreadsheet. Always save Excel when you're working, because you never know when something happens and you lose all your work. Check, check, check. Yep, that's right. All right, let's go on to the next game. Okay, so this one looks pretty interesting. It's even, relatively even, 3-4-5, 3-4-5. Okay. And this is kind of interesting because black has the two connected pawns over here, and then white has the all these connected pawns here. So let's see. Stockfish is saying it's pretty even. Let's see what happened here. Okay, so black's doing great. He's pushing his pawns. The only thing I'm getting a little worried is that he's pushing them, but he doesn't have his king to support them. And so right about this point in the game is when I would probably start thinking about bringing my king over before I advance them too far, because what could happen is they could become weak and then white could just take them. Let's see if that's actually going to happen. Pushes them again. Okay, and so what does white do? He goes there. Okay, so that's yeah, blundered the knight. Yeah, this is, so what he's doing is good. He's pushing past pawns. If you have past pawns, that's what you want to do. The risk, and this is what you have to be careful of, is that if you push them too far and all of a sudden now the knight's not supporting them, the rook's not really supporting them. The rook can move and help, but the king's not supporting them. They can become targets, and if white's able to, he can't go there now, but if he's able to, you might lose your pawns and then you'll be in a losing position. So you do have to be careful. If possible, the general rule is that you want to use your king to help. And so I would have liked to see black bring his king over first and get it into a better position. But let's see like what actually happened. Yeah, so he losing the knight, I guess, wasn't great. Although he just got this. But there's a back rank mate. So all right. Well, at least this time the whoever was black saw it. He saw the back rank mate coming. So he plays a6. Bishop f3 to blunder. Okay, so here we have a little tactic. So this is a good one for chat to solve, or if you're watching this video later. What does black play to win the game? There's a little tactic. Hey Shriyash, yeah man, we played, I think I played you for one of my rating climb videos, I remember. Yep, no problem, Palemo, if I pronounce that right, probably not. Yep, so that's it. You guys got it. Everybody's saying the same thing. So yeah, you take here, and then it frees up the bishop's no longer controlling the square. You just get a queen and win. So this would be a tactics mistake that black missed. He played b5. I guess he didn't see that. So we're going to say tactics mistake. And this one's kind of similar, removing the guard, I think, is what we'll call it. So let's see what else happened. And again, 2 moves in a row, it's the same idea. And he just didn't see it. And at this point, now he's going to lose the pawns, and then he's going to be in trouble because he's down the piece. Yeah, so it's just too late. He gives up the rook for the pawn, but it's over at this point. So that was it. Just not being able to convert because of the missed tactic. And I would say, actually, I'm going to add this too. I would say not activating his king, right? He left his king sit there. If we go way back, he could have, right around this moment in the game, he could have started using his king. At least bring it to like here, where you have the option to come over here later if you want, or you can kind of keep it there to blockade these. Like, just centralize it, and it gives you options, right? Wherever you want to go to from there. That's what I probably would have liked to see. So anyway, let's say tactics mistake and not activating king. Let's save this one. Queen versus rook. Yeah. We'll have to save that for another time. I don't even think I know queen versus rook right now. I learned it like a while ago, or at least I started learning it, but I've never even had it in a game, so it's not like super practical. But maybe we can look at it at some point in the future. I'll have to go back and review that. Okay, so let's go to the next game. Let's get to the end game, and black is way ahead, so I don't think I want to... Yeah, he's up too much material. Let's throw that game out. Again, black's up a ton of pieces. Let's go to the next one. Ooh, blundered the queen. Yeah, too many pieces. Let's go to the next one. All right, I gotta get some more games now. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Looking for the rated games instead of the casual ones. Maybe the rated ones are better, more even, I would think. All right, how many games are we at? 16. Wow, we have a long way to go. All right, maybe I can go a little faster. Although some of these have been pretty interesting, so. Okay, so this one's kind of interesting. So it says white's ahead, even though black has this advanced pawn. White's ahead because he's got, I guess, 5 against 3 pawns. So if he's able to stop this, he should win. And it looks like he does, so let's see. So you notice how white has blockaded the pawn with his rook, which is one of the previous games we looked at. The player didn't do that. And so that's smart. He's got it defended. He's leaving his rooks back there, so there's no like tricks here. And then he's just kind of pushing his pawns. So very smart by white. Again, we see this idea of defending the minor piece with the pawn, and it just kind of can sit there, and he doesn't have to worry about it. So that's also good. And he's got his rook behind the passed pawn that he's pushing forward. So he's doing a lot of things right. And actually, black got his rook trapped here. So that was the big mistake there. So we'll say, I guess we'll call this a tactics mistake. I mean, I think white was going to win anyway, but we'll just say tactics mistake. I'm going to say trap piece. one of the games wasn't 1100 versus 1600. I didn't even catch that. Alright, we did that one. Let's go to the next one. This one doesn't look very even. White's like upper rook and a whole bunch of pawns. We're going to throw this one out. Let's see. Let's get to the end game. Hold on, I need to stretch. Okay. This is kind of still the middle of the game. I don't consider this an end game yet. And wow, a bunch of blunder. Oh, okay, okay. I see. White was running out of time. That's why that looked so weird. All right, let's go to the next game. All right, this is kind of like an end game here. Although black's already up a piece. And he pushes his pawn, gets queen. Yeah, that's not really a good one. This is going to be a good one. All right. Oh my. Wait, what? Okay. Okay. So at this point, white is way ahead. 2 pieces, 2 pawns. Should be an easy win. Apparently doesn't see that the bishop can take the queen. Okay. So that's definitely a blunder. And then you would think at this point, all right, well now black's going to win because, well, white just lost all his pieces. And yet, ooh, have you guys seen this before? Stalemate? So, again, you know, going back to, does white have any legal moves? Well, if I take this, what is white going to do? Is he going to move his king here? Nope. Is he going to move his king here? Nope. Here? Nope. So, I mean, yeah, just keep him in check. Even here, like, black could have let him capture this and just checkmate, right? He could have moved his king here, let him take, and then checkmate. But anyway, stalemate. All right, so we got a blunder, and we have stalemate in a 1 position. Okay. Save that one. Let's go to the next game. This one, white is way ahead, so we'll skip that. Let's go to the next game. Black is way ahead, we'll skip that. Okay, I'm interested in this one only because black's up a rook and the game ended in a draw. So that tells me... And white's about to run out of time. So how was this a draw? Oh, it's an increment game. Okay, so he has increment. Still wondering how this was a draw. Black's up a rook. Where did he go wrong? Okay, so there's a lot of blunders here, and I'm not exactly sure I'm even following why they're blunders. So what I'm going to do is slow down a second. Okay, so at this moment in the game, obviously white is trying to get a queen. Black has to stop it. He can't go here because the bishop takes it. Here stops it. Does he have any other ways to stop it? He can go check, but then he can't go there because of the pawn. So I want to turn on Stockfish because I'm a little confused. So yeah, rook f8 is how you stop the queen, but the best move is f2. So why is that? Because if he gets a queen, it's fine. You're going to get a queen? Interesting. So this is the best line for black. And then I guess you can get out of check eventually and still be winning. Okay, so that's interesting. And then, sorry, let's go. And if he takes it, well, then it allows you to play rook to d6 and win this pawn. So that's the idea of playing f2 here. Okay. And what happened in the game that was so bad? So rook f8 was a blunder because he missed f2. All right, that's fair. Bishop c7 was a blunder because bishop h4 was better. a6 was the move. Wow, this is a crazy position. a6, so the idea is you've got a threat here, but you'd like to create another threat here by sacrificing this pawn. So a6, and if black takes, then you play king f2 is actually the best move. This is so weird. All right, so you're like, there's a couple things going on, right? Like white's trying to push its pawns to get a queen, but he has to be careful also that black doesn't push his pawn, get a queen, and so you have to kind of do this little dance of like back and forth, pushing your pawns forward. Interesting. So what actually happened was bishop c7, and then black did push the pawn, queen, queen, which was the best move. And then all he has to do is kind of just get out of the checks here, and he should be fine. And he does manage to do that, and he's still up the rook. Okay, wow, that was very interesting. So, as far as the mistakes that were made in this game, I mean, it was just a tactics mistake, although pretty advanced one. But we'll say tactics mistake. And I don't really even know what to call that one, so I'll just leave that one. Crazy game, though. Very interesting. All right, next game. So this looks pretty even, although black does have the extra pawn, or 2 pawns. Okay, so he should be winning. Now it's even at this point. It should be even. So it looks like the reason it's saying it's a draw is because white can just keep checking black's king, and eventually he has to go here. And then I guess I'm not sure why it's a draw. So let's see. For some reason, mate in 2. Wow, okay. So at this point, it should be a draw because all right, hold on. I'm a little confused, so I want to see for myself. What happens if black just runs towards... Oh, I see. I see. Okay, so if black wants to get out of the checks, he eventually has to run this way to try to attack white's rook. Okay. But as soon as he does that, like right here, what white can do is bring the rook all the way over to this side, and because black's king is cut off, he now has checkmate next move. And black's rooks are unfortunately not in a place that they can stop it. So this is happening, and it's game over. Really interesting. Now, white missed that. He didn't play that. He played check. And then, I guess in his mind, which makes a lot of sense why you would think this. You're thinking like, well, if I keep checking, he's just going to come here and, you know, chase my rook away, and then I'm going to have to deal with this. So he decided to do something else over here, which was actually losing. But he has checkmate if he does this. Rook a5, black has to go here, and then you can just bring the rook way over here and still same checkmate here. That's pretty cool. So you can see the power of two rooks when one player's king is cut off on the edge of the board like that. And it's unfortunate for black that all of his rooks are unable to come over. Like if this pawn wasn't here, he could bring his rook over here and save the checkmate, right? Save, you know, stop the checkmate. But it's blocked off. And so really interesting position. Yeah, epic. No problem. Thanks for appreciating that. Hey, Rajesh. Finally, this stream starts. We've been going for an hour and a half. And we're still only on 19 games. So there's plenty of learning left to be happened here. All right. All right, so that was really interesting. Just remember, like, if you ever have someone's king cut off, be on the lookout. If you have two rooks or like a queen and a rook, be on the lookout for opportunities to checkmate. Okay, so the mistake for this one, yeah, was that white missed that idea. He missed that checkmate idea. And so because of that, ended up getting into all this, and then he lost. All right, so we're going to say tactics mistake. Missed back rank mate idea. And let's copy this game. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Let's get to the end game. Okay, that's not a good one. White's up a rook. Again, black's up a rook, so that's not really a good one. All right, this looks like it should be interesting. So we've got two bishops against a rook. 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. Two bishops against a rook and a pawn. Very interesting. Wow, and black is way ahead despite the fact that you would think it would be more even than that. Okay, and you can see like his king is very well centralized. Bishops are like controlling the whole board, and he's got targets. Okay. And white doesn't really have a way to infiltrate with his rook. And so I think that's why it's saying that it's such a good position for black. So he takes the pawn. And now let's just think through, like if we're playing this game for black, how do we go about trying to win? Like what should our plan be? Yeah, Rajesh, no problem. Glad you're learning. If you find a good move, look for a better one. That's right. That is exactly right. So I think if I'm playing this game, my plan is going to be to push this pawn forward because that's my passed pawn. I can use my bishops to probably help it. And so that's what I'm going to do. And actually, that's what Stockfish says too. A5 is the move, right? Just like push this pawn forward. So let's see what black did. Okay, he took the pawn, which is not bad. I mean, it was a free pawn. And then he does. Okay, so he plays A5. I think I would have played A4 just because then I'm supported here. I already have the next two squares covered. And once I get it to A2, this guy's stuck, right? He can never leave the back rank. So that's great. And then I just have to bring the bishop over and push it forward. I think that's what I would have done. B4, I feel like he can now bring his rook over. And maybe it's a little bit harder. But let's see what happened. Okay, so he didn't do that. Now black pushed the pawn, and there you go. So now he should be able to just bring his bishop in, like we talked about. Yep, get a queen. All right, cool. So black played that pretty well, and I didn't really see any like big mistakes there. It was just black had a better position and won the endgame. So we'll skip that one and go to another game. I need to actually open up some more, so let me do that. Let's do some longer ones. How strong is my computer? I have a let me see. I built this one a while ago. I think I have either a quad core or maybe I put the octa core in this one. Give me 1 second. And then I got the Ryzen processor. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I built it for gaming, and so I put a lot of time into it. I don't really game anymore. And I think I have, let me see how much RAM I have. Hold on 1 second. I'll tell you. Yeah, so I got the 8-core processor, the Ryzen 7. I built it a while ago, so it's kind of older, but it was good at the time. And then I have 16 GB of RAM, so yeah, it's pretty good. I use it though when I'm like editing my videos. I use a lot of that power, so it's good to have it. All right, let's do a few more of these. And I want to see if I can get to 30, at least get to 30 games tonight, and then I'll probably call it a night. So we'll try to do 10 more. This one, black's up a queen, so we'll skip that one. Here, black's just up a piece, so that's probably not going to be too interesting. Ah, here we go. This looks good. So knight and a bishop against a rook, and the pawns are even, so it should be better for black. Stockfish saying a little bit slightly better for black. Okay. Let's see if there was any big mistakes that were made. Okay, so right here, I like this. Now that black has this passed pawn, if he's able to push that, and for one, force white to sacrifice it, then he can win. If he knows how to checkmate with the knight and bishop, then he can win. He just has to come over here and take these pawns. Or sometimes you can push this and then like blockade it, and the rook won't even be able to sacrifice because you can blockade it with a piece somewhere along the way. So let's see if he tried to do that and how that worked for him. So he's pushing the pawn. Good. Ooh. And white blundered the rook. Black didn't see it. Ouch. Okay. Now he sees it. So this should be a win for black. Well, I think you guys can probably guess how this is going to end. Ouch. How many times have we seen this tonight? Like three or four? Stalemate. Queen's covering all the squares, but he's not in check. There's a bot in chess.com called Nelson. Yeah, they didn't make that one after me, I can tell you that. At least I hope not. I think I would have gotten a little bit higher rating than 1300. Maybe when I become a big time YouTuber, they will make one for me. So let's go back. I want to go back. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and write down the mistake here. We're going to say stalemate in one position, which is much more common than I would have thought at this rating level, but it is what it is. Now, let's go back to like right around here. This is kind of an interesting position. So like let's say let's say that white plays like a better move. So like rook d8 check, and then black, I'm going with the engine moves here a little bit, goes here, and then he plays rook to d1, and he's trying to stop the pawn. So let's say we played b2, and then he plays rook to b1. Okay. How do we win this position if we're black? What do you guys, give me some ideas. Like what would you play? And maybe I should, I'll turn off the engine so nobody cheats. What do you play if you're black trying to win this position? What do you guys think? Chess Magician from Riga. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Reroute the knight. King f5. King f5. I'm not sure if you mean king c4, maybe. That'll take too much time. Knight to c3. Yeah, so knight to c3, and then the pawn gets captured because it blocks off the bishop. So you don't want to do that right now, at least. Yeah, rerouting the knight, I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3 moves would work to attack the rook. You could also bring your king up, 1, 2, 3. And then, you got it. The issue that we have, right, though, is these pawns. These pawns over here. They're going to come down and potentially get a queen, right? Because if we have to sacrifice one of our pieces, we're not going to be able to win, right? We need to be able to get rid of the rook and at the same time keep our knight and bishop so we can checkmate at the end. So, well, I mean, it pretty much have to... Actually, let me back up. Yeah, king c4. Yeah. Protect the pawn with the king and then reposition the knight to attack the rook. So... that's good. There's one other option that I'm thinking, and it's, what if we left the bishop and the pawn here, and we used maybe our king and our knight to come over here and stop the pawns first, and then we came back for the rook later? Like, could that be an option too? Because I'm actually concerned that these pawns are going to be a problem, right? Like if we just go all out to get this rook, well, all he's going to do is sacrifice it, and then these guys are going to be how far advanced? I mean, they might be here at that point, and then he's just going to push them, right? So now that we've kind of thought it through, let's turn on Stockfish, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't actually know like the best plan. I think that we might need to pay attention to these pawns first, and then come back and get the rook later. But let's see what Stockfish says is the best move. So king to d5. Okay, so here. And so it looks like maybe that's what it's going to tell us. And then let's see, it says g5 is best for white. Okay, and then what do? Knight to b6 or king to e6. Knight to b6 or king to e6. Yeah, so you guys see the idea here is that we got to get these pawns stopped first. I mean, this is not going anywhere, right? As long as we can keep our bishop defending the pawn, his rook is going to be stuck. Yeah, maybe he can come over here at some point and throw in a check. But other than that, he's got to keep his rook there, right? Because this is a threat. So you can see like what's happening. So let's keep going. We'll go with king e6, makes sense to me. So that's, I think, what I would play. And then let's say he plays king g4. Actually, I'm going to give the engine a second. It's jumping all around. Stockfish doesn't even know what's happening in this position. It keeps jumping back from -8 to -2. So all right, let's try king g4. Okay, now it's saying knight to b6. So we do need to get help from the knight. So we're going to bring that back. And I mean, white's plan is probably going to be the same, right? To push these pawns forward, I would think. Like, let's try h5. That's what I'm curious to see what we do. Knight to c4. Let's go g6. Knight to d2. Okay. So it kind of is like a... We move our king a little bit closer, so we're ready to stop these. And then we go for this plan of getting the rook. So then... It's saying the best move for him is to move his rook. Okay. And then I guess we get a queen. And then he takes it, we take it. Okay, so now we have this interesting position where we have to stop the two pawns. So let's see, h6. And it looks like our king is going to be close enough, but can we go to f6? What about this? Then we just go here. Okay. So basically, well, first of all, do you guys have any questions? Does that make sense? Like the idea? Now we can play king f6, and if he goes here, we've got king g7 and we stop the pawns. If he goes here, we've got king f7 and we also are able to stop the pawns. So we go here and now he can't push. If he goes here, we just take it. And then if we go back, if he does this, we can just go here and we've stopped him. So pretty interesting endgame there. Do you guys want to see how to checkmate with the knight and the bishop while we're looking at this position? Or have you already seen the video on the channel and you don't need to know that? I'll leave it up to you guys, whatever you want to see. And I apologize for the lag. I will fix that. Next time I'll change the setting on the latency. Right now I've got like 30-second lag from when I ask a question to when I see the responses. Rajesh doesn't know the knight and bishop mate. Can't you take the pawn if he goes to h7? Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. We can. That's even easier. Good point. All right, let's just do it then. Thanks, Freddie. Appreciate that. Yeah, Rahul, I think the lag is on my side. So like I ask a question and you guys don't see it right away. So by the time that you respond and it gets back to me, it's like 30 seconds later. That's I think it's a setting I can change. I just haven't I didn't know about it until like the stream had already started. So I'll change it next time and I think it'll be better. So let's go ahead and do it. Rajesh, we'll just do it so that you can learn this, I guess, because it's probably interesting for some other people too. So we take the pawn and white, I'm going to just turn Stockfish off so we can do it ourselves here. So we'll say white just moves his king and we take this. So how do we proceed? We've got the knight, we've got the bishop, we got the king. Step number 1 in the knight and bishop checkmate is you have to identify the corner that you need to checkmate in. So we have a dark squared bishop, which means this corner or this corner is where we need to go to checkmate his king. We will not be able to force it in one of these corners. Okay, so that's principle number 1. Just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We have to go to one of these 2 corners. Now, if white knows that, what is he going to do? He's going to go to these corners because he doesn't want to get checkmated and he thinks that he can run there, and maybe if we don't know the process, he'll be able to get a draw. So let's just say, and even as a kind of step before that, if he stays in the center of the board, it could make it even more difficult for us. So let's say he goes here and he just tries to keep his king in the center. Well, obviously we can't lose the bishop, so I'm going to move it here because my king is here to defend it. So if he comes here, I'm going to bring my king over to defend the bishop. All right, let's say he goes here, I'm going to come up here, and what I'm trying to do is centralize my king, centralize my bishop, so that I can begin to push his king to the side of the board. Okay, because right now he's just kind of in the center. I can't really do what I want to do. So here we go. We have, taken away these squares. Now he's got to move somewhere. Let's say he stays in the center, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to bring my king again, trying to take away some squares and centralize my king. Let's say he goes here, and I'm going to bring the bishop. He goes here, and now I've got this set up nicely. I'm going to start bringing my knight in. So maybe I'll go here, check. And again, I'm still on step 1, just trying to centralize all my pieces. We'll say he goes here, and I'm going to bring my king here. Okay, what is he going to do now? Well, he knows this is the corner he wants to avoid. So he's probably going to, since we're starting to force him to the edge of the board, he's probably going to start running down this way or head to this direction. So let's say he goes here. Okay, what am I going to do? And this is where you want to kind of start looking at how the knight and the bishop work together. And so, for example, bishop's controlling these squares, knight's controlling these squares. So I have a little wall there. And so one move that I could consider would be bringing my king up here to take away this square. And so you see how I'm kind of, by doing that, sort of forcing his king to run one of these directions, right? So let's say I do that, and he knows that, all right, I want to stay away from this corner. Maybe he goes this way, okay? So what I'm going to do is bring my king up again and just try to take away as many squares as I can, right? So I've got the knight here, I've got the bishop and the king. See how they're all working together to force him, backwards, basically. So like, let's say he goes here, boom, I can do that again, trying to force him towards the edge of the board, right? And so we'll say he goes here, and now, it gets a little tricky because I don't want him to be able to escape over here. So how do I deal with that? Well, I'm probably going to have to use my knight. And so how can my knight come in to sort of help out with this idea, right? Because if he comes back this way, my king and bishop are good. And so I'm thinking, okay, where do I need to move the knight to? Hey, Nick. Thanks. Guyan, what's up? We're doing the knight and bishop checkmate. So this is my concern right now. If I move my knight here, he goes there. I could move my knight here. He's going to go here. And I could bring my bishop there. And so that's one option, because then I would be making this kind of a wall. Do I have any other moves here and here? That actually maybe looks a little better. So I'm going to go there. And if he moves here, I'm going to bring it up. And so my idea was that I wanted to take away that square. Bishop's taking away these squares. And remember, he doesn't want to run to this corner because he can get checkmated in this corner. So he's probably not going to go here. He's probably going to start heading back the other direction. Okay? So let's say he goes here. And by the way, there's a specific position with the king with the king, knight, and bishop checkmate that I'm trying to get into. Because once I get into that position, there's a set process I can follow to win. But until I get to that position, it's kind of just think through and keep trying to force him around. So at this point, let's see, how can I force him further back? That's what I'm trying to think through. I like this setup. The knight's here, the bishop's here. I want to go here, but then it lets him escape, I believe. So I can't do that. Maybe I just bring my king here. Yeah, that looks like the right move. So again, I'm leaving the knight and the bishop in this setup because they're very nicely controlling all those squares. And so he doesn't want to run that way. He's going to, let's say, run to the corner over here because he knows that's his best chance. So then I'm going to bring the bishop up. And let's see. Let's say he goes here. Again, if he goes to this corner, I can't checkmate him. The best I can do is get a stalemate. So here, 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 and here. All right, awesome. So finally, I've gotten into the key position. This is what I was trying to get that whole time, all that maneuvering. I don't know how many moves that was, but it was all just to get this position. The point is you need the knight to control the corner square, okay, that your bishop cannot cover. So you need the knight to control that square, defended by your king, and then your bishop really can be anywhere, somewhere along this diagonal is where it usually is, but you can always move it there later. So basically the knight controlling the corner, protected by the king. Once you get this, this is the key position in the knight and bishop checkmate. So let's say it's our turn. Okay, so we're gonna move the bishop here, and we'll say he goes here. Once you get this position, basically the way that you win is you have to force his king over here so that you can checkmate him in this corner. And the way you do that is with what is called the W maneuver with your knight. So your knight is gonna go like this, and it's upside down. It's an upside down W maneuver. Sometimes you'll get this position on the other side of the board where your knight's here, your king's here, and so then it looks like a, it looks like a W. That's why they call it the W maneuver. It's the same idea on this side of the board, and it can happen in any direction, and so you have to kind of be able to see the difference, right? So in this case, it's going to look like this. It's an M, I guess. What I'm going to do first is a waiting move. I'm going to bring the bishop back just because I want his king to move over. And so I just need to kill a move. Bishops are the pieces that you use for waiting moves. So we'll do that. He moves over, and then I'm going to bring the bishop down, controlling the square, which is, what's it going to do? Well, force him that way, which is what we want, right? We have to go to this corner. So he moves over, and now we start the maneuver with our knight. So we bring it back, and we're controlling the square. So he only has two options, 1 and 2. Now, if he goes this way, and it looks at first glance like, oh, okay, he's going to come here and probably like escape and get back to the center, and we have to start all over again, right? Like, that's what it looks like. Turns out that's not the case. So let's look at that one first, and then if he comes here, we just continue our maneuver with the knight check, and it's easier to win. So we'll look at this one. And what you need to do, this you kind of just have to memorize, you kind of just have to memorize this, but you bring your king over. And the reason is we're setting up to control this square so that our knight can go there. So he's going to go for his plan, try to escape. We bring the knight in. Okay, so we've taken away this square and this square. He's going to go for his plan again. He's going to run here, and it looks like he's about to escape, right? Wrong. We bring our bishop back, take it away. Knight's taking away these squares. King is taking away these. See how we've got that? Everything cut off. Can't move to any of those squares. So even though it looked like he was going to escape, he's actually not. He can go here, and then we can actually bring the bishop here. And again, check out all the squares that are covered. Knight's covering this. King's covering this. He can't get away. So he can go back here. We bring our king over, and we've essentially moved our king and our knight from here to here, right? Remember, we were here before. We've just slid it over. All that maneuvering to slide it over. And then if he tries to escape, again, we can use the bishop, take away the square. Knight controls the square. He has to go back. Another waiting move. Forces his king over. And we continue with the remember the knight was bouncing like this, so we just keep going. Bring it back here. If he comes over, we go check, forces him back, we go over, and you can see this pattern. It's the same pattern, it just happens over and over again, where the knight takes, you know, that square away. He's got to go over, we go over. Whenever he tries to run away, you check with the bishop. He goes back, and once you get to this point, you can bring the knight back one more time. What I like to do is put the bishop next to my king so that it's protected by my king. So I'm going to go here, here, and essentially now we have got him boxed in to where he only has 2 spaces to go to, back and forth. Okay, and so once you get that, it's pretty straightforward. King goes over, and now I'll let you see if you can find the checkmate. It's mate in 2 for black. Yep, so if you said here, that's correct. Put him in check. He has to go over, and then the knight comes in, checkmate. So that's the idea. I have a video on the channel where I show you that, basically the same thing. It's probably a little bit cleaner than what I just did now, but that's the live version. And yeah, that's how you do it. All right, so already did that one. Let's go get a few more endgames. This is interesting. So white was way ahead, and then it got mated. Okay, so what happened that went so wrong for white? Do I have Instagram or Twitter? You know, I think I made an account when I started the YouTube channel, but I didn't stick with it, and I don't even know if it's active right now. I have to check. It might be Chess Vibes or something, but I don't even know off the top of my head. I don't use it if I have it, to answer your question. Wow. All right, so 50. White has an advantage of 50. Okay, now it's saying 20. Nope, 49. All right. Yeah, so this is huge, and then it evaporates in 2 moves. Okay, so what did he do wrong? Basically, instead of blocking with the knight, which, by the way, knights are actually really good defenders against queens, because, like, let's say he would have played here. A lot of times they stop the square that the queen would be able to put you in check from, right? See that? All of these squares that the queen could put you in check from, the knight's controlling. And so, and you're also blocking it this way, right? So if you have to block your king from a queen check, using a knight is usually a really good idea. So by going there, now black has nothing. Like, black can't do anything, and then it's white who has the checkmate threat here. And so that was the move that white missed. Instead, he goes back with his king, and it's not good now. He could still go back up and looks like survive. Yeah, king f3. And it's not great at this point. But then he makes an even worse mistake. You don't ever want to put your king on you know, the back rank when against a queen and a rook. Yeah, that's just really bad. No way that's going to turn out well. So we will say I guess this mistake is not defending king properly. Where are the games from? So I'm on Lichess right now. I'll show you that. There you go. I'm on Lichess, and I just went to Tools, Advanced Search, and then I searched for the rating range that I wanted, the type of game, so like rapid, and I searched for games that were at least 35 moves or longer, and maybe a couple other things. But yeah, basically that's where I got them from. I added a couple of extra points, so I'm looking at like 1,300 rated games, 13 to 1,400. Even though I wanted this video to be 1,200 mistakes, and that's just because Lichess, a lot of times the ratings are a little bit inflated, so I added a few extra 100 points for that. But yeah, that's where they came from. And I'm just analyzing 100 of them, so you can see here, this is my spreadsheet. I only have 22 done so far, so it's taken a while, but I'm going to try to find the most common mistakes that 1,200 rated players make. So that's what we're doing. And I already got that one, so let's go to the next game. Okay, this is kind of an interesting game. So white is definitely ahead. But right at this moment, it's equal. So I'm assuming that because Stockfish is saying that it's equal, that there's probably a perpetual check here. So let's see if that's the case. Queen to g4 check. White can run here, but then queen here, check, forces him back to one of these two squares. Check here again. Forces him either back there, which is going to be the same thing, so then he's going to have to try going over here. But then there's check here because the bishop supports the queen. And so you can see the pattern. 1, 2, 3, basically. Black can just go check, 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 check all day long, and white can never get out of it. Right? Here, check, check, check. Yep. So yeah, this could have been a way that black saved the game. Instead, he played the wrong check, and it allowed, well, and he didn't even go for the checks, he went for the pawn. It allowed, and again, same idea. He can go over here to h3, get the same perpetual check, 1, 2, 3, on these squares. Boom, 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 check, 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 and all white can do is just keep moving back and forth. So multiple times this guy had an opportunity to save the game with a draw. So we're going to say missed perpetual check. So this is a good one to remember. If you're in an endgame with a queen and you're way behind, like this guy is, if you're able to get a perpetual check, you can probably save the game. Yeah, they made some more blunders there, but I'm just going to go to the next game so I can finish my 30 games before I fall asleep. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to turn on the engine here. Let's see what's going on. So that was a pretty big mistake. What did it want white to play in this position? Rook takes a4. Okay. Yep, so Stockfish was saying the best move was just to take this pawn. And we've seen this before, but not taking pawns right away. And so by waiting, White kind of got into a bad situation. So we'll say, what did I say before? Not capturing free pawn. Yeah, we'll say that. And then at this point, I think the extra piece, yeah, the extra piece is just too much for White. Okay. These are from the last candidates tournament. Yes, yes. Oh, I closed that one without the URL. That's fine. All right, so here's an interesting one. Knight against bishop. Black has the advantage. 3-6, 3-4-5. You have an extra pawn. Okay. So, okay, as a general rule, in this position right here, if you're in an endgame like this and you're down pawns, so White has 5, Black has 6, you probably don't want to trade off the pieces, because a lot of times king and pawn endings, whoever has the extra pawn will win. Not always, but generally speaking, that's the case. And so going here and allowing Black to trade, not to mention his king is going to just take this pawn very quickly. You know, it would have been better for White to hold on to this bishop. So bishop f8, you know, keep it on the board. Maybe you can come over here and do something later. You give yourself much better chances to draw the game by keeping it on the board. So that's pretty big mistake. I don't know how I would call this. I guess I'll say incorrect trading of a minor piece. So that's one thing. Let's see if there's any more mistakes. Okay. I mean, if I'm playing this position as Black, I'm going to just play a6 and then leave this, probably sit like, I guess that's fine actually. I guess the taking's fine, because then if he takes here, you can push and come and take this. Let's see what happened. I don't think that's anything really big. Okay, so this is a big mistake here. This pawn is now free to go get a queen. He just stepped out of range, right? If he move here, this is the box that White has to get into, and he's not close enough, so it's going to become a queen. So we will say, yeah, we'll put it in the same category as the other ones. Incorrect defense against a passed pawn. Oh, and actually this is the same game, so let me move that up here. And then Black, I guess, missed it, didn't do that, played something else. I guess he was thinking he's going to get a queen, but this is only 3 moves. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves, so it's way too slow. But now he pushes it. Oof. Okay, well, it worked out for Black, but he made that harder than it needed to be. All right, let's save that one. Go on to the next game. This kind of isn't in the endgame yet. Well, it sort of is. Yeah, that's not really a great one. Black was already ahead anyway. Let's go on. Okay, here we go. So 2 rooks. Now it's 1 rook. 3, 6, 3, 6. So this should be a good one to learn from. So White has a slight advantage. he's got his rook on the 7th rank, which is good. But black makes a big mistake here and just loses a pawn. Gives away a free pawn. Yeah, you can't do that. Gives away 2 pawns. So I'm going to just say losing pawns. At the end of the game, losing pawns is a big deal. So that was a big mistake. But let's see what else happened. Yeah, so white, right at this moment, let's see, right here, is doing very well. And then that's a big mistake. So, okay, this is kind of a good learning opportunity. Why is this move so bad for white? And b4 is so good. This is the right move. This was a big mistake. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on. So, by playing b4, if black, let's say, captures, white now has 2 connected pass pawns, which is very, very strong. A rook is always going to have a hard time against 2 connected pass pawns. Basically, for example, white can just push this forward, and let's say black goes here, he's just going to push it forward. Here, he's just going to push it forward, push this forward, go here. It's very easy with 2 pawns. So that is what white could have done. Played before, got the connected pass pawns, and life is pretty easy. Instead, he plays c4, and now, that was a bad move for black, but if black would have captured, and then if white doesn't want to lose the pawn and give black a pass pawn, he has to take back. And you can see the difference. These are not nearly as good. Now it's much harder. I mean, first of all, black can just go here and take that one. But even if he couldn't, like, double pawns are never going to be as good as connected pawns. So I'm going to say, I'm going to say losing pawns, and then also we'll say missed connected pass pawn opportunity. Okay. And then I'm guessing this was a draw because they each traded a pawn. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So that's a tactics mistake right there. Black allowed white to sacrifice and then trade off the rooks. He could have actually won this, just bringing his rook over, and this is actually, all right, let me write this down and then we'll talk about this position. So we're going to say tactics mistake, removing the guard. I would say it falls under. All right, so basically black would like to push this pawn and either get a queen or force white to capture it and win his rook. If he does that, he has a king and a rook, he wins the game. So by playing rook to b5, the big issue for white is that his king is cut off from helping stop this pawn. And so all black's going to do is push it forward. And eventually, white's going to have to sacrifice, right? So for example, if white goes here, just push it. And what's white going to do? I mean, best move was rook to a8. Let's see. There's like actually lots of little tactics here. Like I was going to play a3, but then that's a blunder. Same kind of tactic that we just saw. So you have to be careful. I guess you go over here. That's what I'm thinking. And then you have check. And so you have to get out of check at some point. So right now you can go here because his king's in the way. He goes behind. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. It looks like you can go here, you can go here, here. Eventually, you're going to have to build a bridge with your rook. So this is kind of like a Lucena, Lucena position. And so let's see. I'm using Stockfish here because this is kind of a tricky one. So okay, it's saying Rook H2. So the idea is you play Rook H2 so that you can come here, and you're building a bridge basically, or a shield, so that his rook can't check your king and your king can hide here. So you go here. Let's say he tries to bring his king forward. You bring your rook over, and then if he goes like here, now you can hide your king here. Now you can't do it right away. King b3. This is kind of a weird position. I guess you have to go like this and then around here. Yeah, there you go. And then after this, you can go here. Now your king can come in. You can get a queen. So it's not that easy, but it could have been won had white not fallen for this little tactic here, where he sacrifices it and then he just loses the rook. So I think I didn't explain that well at all, but hopefully you guys got the idea. All right. This should be pretty interesting. 2 rooks. Okay. So at this point, it's pretty equal. Now we have 1 rook each. Okay, so that was a big mistake for white. Basically, he advanced his pawn where it had no support from his king, so he lost it here. And then, instead of just like taking this pawn, he traded off rooks into a lost endgame. He's just down all these pawns. He's going to lose. So we're going to say incorrect trading of rooks, and then also not taking pawns. And then there's going to be another mistake because black didn't win the game. So let's see how that happened. Okay. So yeah, that was the big mistake, letting white's king come in here. So whenever you have pass pawns like this, especially connected pawns, all you have to realize is that your opponent's king is going to be stuck. Your opponent's king is going to be stuck guarding those pawns forever. Like, he just has to sit there. If he ever moves his king somewhere, then you go get a queen. So black could say, all right, I'm going to just, use that knowledge and bring my king over here and take all the pawns and then win. It's really, really easy if you notice that, hey, I just have to leave those sit there. And they are going to tie down the king for the rest of the game. So the big mistake was going here and then letting, white do this, and then again not like pushing them forward. So there's kind of a lot of mistakes there. And when he finally decided to push it forward, now the game has changed because now you've given white a pass pawn. Going back to this position, white has no pass pawns and he should not be able to get any. All you have to do is use your king to take those. So we're going to say, I don't know how to classify this, but basically I'm going to say not using pawns as a decoy, because that's a really common thing in endgame. So we'll say that, not using the pawns as a decoy. Okay, so and then what ended up happening is now you gave white a queen, he's going to be able to just probably check you forever. Oh no, traded it off again into a 1 endgame and still didn't win. So this is really fascinating. And he let his Okay, let's go back. Right here. He just needs to box out the king. So you just go here. And now he can't like come over. If he tries to come up, you can go up. If he tries to come up, you can go up. And then you push your pawns and his king can never come over. So that's what should have happened. Didn't happen. But even here, again, these guys are just going to sit here all day. So all black has to do is come over here, take this, get a queen. And I guess he didn't do that. Oh, no, no, no. All right. I see. Okay. So again, we have our old friend, the stalemate. Let's add it to the list. Stalemate in one position. Yeah, and just like I said, the easy way to win this game is to just go here, go here, go here. And if he ever tries to do this, well, then you get a queen, right? So he can't, and you take this. And, yeah. All right, I think we got it. I think we got it. All right, I'm gonna do 3 more games, 28, 29, and 30. And I'm calling it a night. So if anybody who's still watching has any questions, ask them now. Because we're wrapping this up. Rook against the knight and bishop, but he's got a bunch of pawns, so it should be better for white. A little bit better for white, okay. Ah, he falls for a fork, so that's a tactics mistake. Blunder into a pin. Okay, so white is way ahead here. Ooh. Blundered a rook. Ouch. Alright, let's put blunder on the list here. J Steele. I don't know, man. Probably because you haven't watched enough of my videos. That's my answer, I guess. No. Real answer is because chess is hard. Chess is hard. Alright. How did this game... Wow. This is fascinating. The game was a draw? The game was a draw at this moment? Okay, well, I'm assuming that this means that they agreed to a draw, because I don't see anything else that would lead me to believe that it was a draw. Oh yeah, there it is. Black offers draw, draw offer accepted. Okay, so I guess black offered the draw because he didn't know how to win. So basically, all you have to do is take this pawn first, and then you can take this pawn. So how does black do that? Right at this moment, he plays there, so white has to move back. Because if white moves the pawn forward, he takes it. So he has to move back. All you have to do is bring your king here, and essentially you've gained control of that square. So white can no longer do that. You're controlling this square. And then you just have to basically take this pawn at the right time. So for example, let's say white goes here. You can go here. And if white goes there, now you can capture it because it's with check. Now it's a little bit tricky because like if you did it out of order, like let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example. Yeah, like right here. If you got this position, you can't take it right now because then he gets a queen, and then you have to, I'll just show it. He gets a queen, you have to take, and then you do get a draw. So if you find yourself in this position, all you have to do is a waiting move with the rook. So you just move it over, and now white's king either has to go backwards, which lets you take it, or he has to go here, which lets you take it with check. So then after he moves, you can do whatever, go check and take this and win. So that's what should have happened. Lucas, no, I haven't set a date. It's probably going to be, hold on one second. Let's see. It's not going to be next Saturday, not the 5th. It might be, yeah, most likely it's going to be June 12th. But I'm still, I have to check with my wife on that and the family. But June 12th, most likely, is what it's going to be. But I will announce it when that's confirmed. Okay. Let's copy this. Two more games. Let's find an interesting one. Again, knight and bishop against a rook. Pretty. Oh, we've already seen this one. I've already seen that fork. Okay. I don't know how I did that one twice. Okay. This looks pretty interesting. Let me turn on the engine. So black's way ahead because of that extra pawn. Okay. But he didn't win the game. Interesting. Okay. So, right here. What's the winning idea? He wants to do that. But then white takes it away by controlling those squares. So king g6 is the move that he should have played. He plays f5. Okay, so I guess the idea here is that white's king has to go over here and make this knight move so he can take the pawn. When he does that, black should be coming up here with his king, coming in and taking these pawns. By playing f5, he blocks his own king out. So I'm going to say this is the same as not using the pawn as a decoy. That seems to be a common theme. So he should have used that as a decoy, infiltrated with his king. So that's kind of the other part of this. Not using king. And that's probably what happened. Yeah, he waited too long before he brought his king in, right? He didn't have enough time. And then we get, yeah, we're just going to get a draw with the knights. Okay. Alrighty. One more game. And I forgot to save that URL. Oh well. Let's get to the end game. No, he's just up a rook. Let's skip that one. Let's get a better one. It's not really good. Let's get another one. Nope. Alright, here we go. So, rook against rook. But black has some extra pawns. It's pretty even. Okay, they're trading off their pawns. It's still pretty even. Whoa. So right here, it's basically dead even. If white just plays rook d1, comes down here, it's even. Instead, he trades into a lost endgame. So again, we're going to say incorrect trading the rooks. And then at this point, black's completely winning. Again, he's got the decoy pawn. So white has to come over here, and then black should be free to just take this and win. What did he do instead? Ah, he pushed it and just lost it. And then I see, okay. So right at this point, I mean, I've already talked about this, but this is just going to sit here and tie up white's king for the rest of the game. So all he has to do, move his king, move his king, move his king, take this, go here, and win. So incorrect trading of rooks. Not using pawn as a decoy. And yeah, it's pretty much the mistake. So, and then the reason it was a draw was because now he doesn't have enough time. Nope, he does. Wait a second. Why does Stockfish say that it's supposed to be a draw? That's what I'm not understanding. Ah, okay. This is actually a really good learning opportunity. So, at this moment, the game should be a draw. So, white has two choices. Well, there's more choices, but really there's two moves that head towards the direction he wants to go. And hold on a second. I'm a little bit confused at why Stockfish is saying, let's see. Oh, king c4. Sorry. All right. We're good. We're good. I got it. So, here's the idea. If whenever you're facing a rook pawn, okay, so on the edge of the board, if you can get your king in front, it's an automatic draw. And so white's goal needs to be to get there as fast as he can. So it looks like by going here, even though you can still get there, it's going to probably give black's king the ability to block you off. Whereas if you go here, it's not going to happen. So, for example, what happened in the game, white went here, black captured, and then white tried to get there, but now, look what happens. Well, what should have happened, black plays here, and he forces his king away, right? He's got him boxed out. This is opposition. White can never get through. Pawn goes and gets a queen. Okay, so if we go back, instead of this move, if white plays here, which is a very subtle difference, and now black captures, instead of going here like before, now he goes here. And you notice black's king is too late. He can't quite box him off. So if he goes here, again, he can't box him off. He can try to go here, but now white is able to get the opposition on black, keeping his king stuck up against the side. If you ever get this position against a pawn, all you have to do is keep the king on the edge of the board and he can never win. So as an example, if he pushes the pawn, you can just go here, and if he goes down, you just keep your king there. If he goes off, well, then you get in front that way, and it's also a draw. So you've got kind of two methods you can use. So long explanation to say, you know, when you're heading for a square, it does matter which route you choose, right? Even though these are the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very subtle difference, but it does matter, and it's the difference between winning and drawing. So that's pretty interesting. And then black ended up messing it up anyway, so he didn't know about blocking the king off, so like shielding the king. So we'll say shielding king. Alright, I think that's fine. Let's copy that. Alright, so there's 30 games. Pawns on the rims can be drawn, right? Yeah, a lot of times they are draws. Like this, you know. The only time it's not a draw is if you're able to blockade the king from getting in front. If the king ever gets in front, it's always a draw. But if you can keep the king out, I mean, then you can win. How to improve at chess for 650 rated player, step by step. 650 rated? Let me just tell you. 600 ELO mistakes. Let's see. What do I have here? 84%. Stop blundering. That's what you got to do. Stop blundering and protect your king is the other part of that. Focus on those two things and you will be better. If you want to know how to stop blundering, I have a video on my channel. It's called, I think it's called How to Stop Blundering. Basically, you have to do a blunder check every move and like just not hang big pieces. And then once you get to 800, still same thing, not blundering, castling early, completing your development is important, and go from there. So yeah, let me do one thing. So now that I've got these games in here, sorry, let me get to the end here. So we've looked at these 30 games. The next thing that I would do is figure out what the most common are. Now I'm going to finish and actually do all 100 of them before I do this, but just for the sake of showing the process for this video, I would do like a search. So I'm going to do Control F. I'm going to do find all, and I'm going to do incorrect defense because I know that's what I titled it, and I'm going to do find all, and you can see that I've got 5 cells, so 5 out of 30 games. That's fairly common. That might be one that makes it onto my list of top mistakes in the end game. Incorrect defense against passed pawns. Another one that's pretty common. Let's check blunder. Let's check blunder real quick. Yeah, 9 blunders. So again, like just blundering is good. Let's check tactics. See what that is. I don't know if you guys can actually see this or not. Okay, tactics, 11 cells. So that's by far the most common one so far. Let's see, what else did I write down? Oh, stalemate. Let's check stalemate. 5 games were stalemated. Okay. And so seems like the pass pawn, incorrect defense against the pass pawn is a big one. Blunders, tactics, mistakes. And then, yeah, incorrect defense. Oh, incorrect trading. Let's check that one. I don't think that one was as popular. 3 games. Okay, so that's 10%. I mean, that's still pretty good, actually. All right. Oh, yeah. Writer, yeah, you have to have a mouse for bullet chess. Absolutely. Although I say that, I play bullet on my phone sometimes when I'm not at a computer, but I usually lose on time. So, yeah, you definitely want a mouse. And pre-moving is really good. Alright guys, well that's the process. Like I said, before I actually post the video, I'm going to go through and finish all 100 of these, which is going to take a while. But I will work on that as I have time. And then I'll compile up the most common from that. I'm not going to do it right now just because I haven't finished, so I'll just wait till I finish and do it all at once. But you kind of saw the process. And then once I figure out what the most common ones are, I've got games that I can go back and use as examples. So if it turns out that you know, the incorrect defense against passed pawns is a big one, I'll probably like pull up some of these games, put those in the video, and go from there. Thank you guys for watching. I will post this after, so you can, if you missed part of it, you want to go back and watch. But basically, this is what I did. Just went through all these games. So, yep, no problem. Thanks for tuning in. Maybe one day I'll get like an actual schedule where I stream every you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something. I don't know. Right now, I don't have that. Most likely, we'll do the simul on the 12th. Saturday, June 12th is what it's looking like, but I will send out an announcement with that. Yep, no problem. Appreciate you guys, and I will catch you later. Yep, no problem. You're welcome. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy the holiday. And I will see you next time.